About 5 months ago, as UConn prepared to enter the 2016-17 season, there were plenty of question marks surrounding this year's team. Many wondered if this would be the season that the Huskies would meet their match, but here we are at the Final Four in Dallas with an undefeated UConn team in search of a national championship to call their own.
What happened this year was really remarkable in that the unknown was what everyone talked about in October, and then throughout the whole season it became really evident that, you know, this was a really, really good team made up of really good players, and they proved it every night, and this is where they belong.
I think during the beginning of the season, our toughest moments were in practice and understanding what we needed to do to be successful. Because like Coach said, there was this unknown from a lot of people. And with us, our unknown was, how do we step into these new roles that we had not been in before and do them successfully and help out the younger guys as much as possible. So we had a transition to make, and we did it as best as we could. It was a challenge, but I think we stepped up together, and with the help of the coaches and the help of everyone on the team, we did a good job.
So far, the unknown has worked out pretty well for the Huskies, sitting at 36-0 on the season, but playing in the Final Four presents a whole different dynamic. This UConn roster has limited game time experience on the biggest stage in college basketball.
So the players that are going to be playing, Kia's played a lot in 2 Final Fours. Gabby, not much. Lou, a little bit. Sanaya, not at all. Crystal Dangerfield, not at all. Fisa, hardly at all. They don't own any of those 10 Final Fours. They don't own any of those 11 national championships. They only own part of the streak. I mean, the only thing that this team has to hold on to, I've said this before, is the 36 wins that they have right now this year. So going into this weekend, how are they going to handle this situation that they're in right now? I have no idea, but it's not going to be that much different than how's Mississippi State going to handle their first Final Four.
Well, obviously, we're fortunate to have been here, twice with the two of us, and understanding, how the older kids like Stewie, Mo, and Tuck, and Kalina and Kia had approached this tournament and what it took to be successful in it. And we're fortunate that our ringleader over here has been here a couple times. So using the advice that he gives us, the things that he helps us focus on in practice, trying to take those and use it as a game plan emphasis.
UConn's Friday night opponent is fairly familiar, as these two teams met in the regional semifinal of last year's NCAA tournament. The 98-38 win over Mississippi State was the largest margin of victory in a regional semifinal. However, a 60-point victory may be much tougher to come by just 1 year later.
Well, they've returned a lot of players, so there's some familiar faces. We've been watching them all year, so we do remember some things about them. But like you just said, they have evolved and they have changed, just like every other team that's here right now. So right now we're just going to face the team that's in front of us.
Well, just this morning I watched that game again, and I'm going to remind them at practice today. There's nobody on this team right now that had anything other than I was at that game to do with that score. If you watch that game, Stewie looked like an NBA player playing against high school kids. And Mariah was so much better than anybody on the floor. And Tuck just dominated long stretches of the game. So the score was like 30-4 at the end of the first quarter. And I think Lou had 1 bucket. I don't think Kia had any. And the other guys didn't even play. So if they think they had anything to do with that win, they're going to be reminded today, no, they didn't. And this is not the same Mississippi State team that we played. And the turnaround that they've made offensively has been remarkable.
If the Huskies can get past Mississippi State, they will punch their ticket to the program's 12th national championship game. The streaks, the records, the legacy, it all adds an element of pressure with the expectation to win, but it's a feeling that junior Kia Nurse feels well equipped to handle.
No matter what, when you come into a program like this, there's going to be pressure. And what you learn from the moment that you get here from the coaches and from the vets who have been here before is that you learn how to deal with it and how to handle it and how to put it aside when it's not needed. And when you come here and you have to step into a role of leadership, and it's difficult and it's a challenge, the best part about it is that the people who came before you to build this legacy, who had done it so flawlessly, they had the same challenges. They had to get through the same things. So you know what's possible, you know you can do it, and you're not doing it alone. You have the help of the coaches, you have the help of your teammates, and that makes it all the better.
And with all the pressure comes a little fun too. While a 5th straight national championship is the main focus by far this weekend, the memories being made are all a part of the experience and are what makes this historic journey even more meaningful.
It's not easy to get here. It's a lot of fun to be a part of, and there's a lot of stuff going on around it. And I think the funnest part about it is that you get to do it with your teammates, with the people who have put their tail on the line every single day in games and practices to help get you here. And to see the smile on our face of our senior last night, T, who went to a rodeo, just to see how happy she was, I mean, that's probably the most fun part, to get to be with your teammates and experience this with them.
I mean, it's just a blessing in itself to be here, and you know, it's definitely an opportunity we don't take for granted. And like Kia said, you know, this is our last few days together, just this team. So we're just going to try to enjoy it, and you know, this is the last trip we'll have with Sanaya and Tierney. So we want to make sure that they have a good experience as well.
Well, there is no question that a national championship would be quite the memory for the two seniors on this year's UConn roster, playing in their final weekend in the Husky uniform. They'll have to take care of business, though, in Game 1 of the Final Four right here behind me against Mississippi State. Tip-off is set for 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central on ESPN. We'll be here in Dallas with coverage all weekend long from the Final Four on the American Digital Network.